Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Thank you for joining me here today. Hello, Connor, Cool Beans, Pumpkin, Mutterks, Taz, Rust, Fortuna. Thank you for joining me here. Yes, we are listening to Oakvale again. I have been on that Fable soundtrack kick since the stream last week, let me tell you. Hello, Liz. Hello, Ring. I agree, Ring. And Taz, yes, you did set off the Fable music. It's funny to me that I don't know if you guys knew this. It's tremendously exciting. Every settlement soundtrack in Fable is like a refrain, or not a refrain, sorry, what's the word I'm looking for? It's Monday. It's a remix. It's a version of this song that we're listening to right now, with like ever so slight changes that are, I imagine, intended to be emblematic of the specific settlement. So this one's Oakvale, right? Let me throw Knothole Glade up, see if you can spot the difference. Let's restart it. This one comes with ambiance, rain, beautiful, right? Oakvale is the starting village that gets murked. That is spoilers for Fable, if anyone hasn't played it. And shots, I agree completely. I like Fable 1 the most. Fable 2 was a lot of fun. I don't really remember it that much. I beat it, I'm pretty sure. But it was less memorable to me. Maybe because I was crazy hyped for Fable, the first one, like I said in the last stream. And 3 was like, I watched a friend play 3 when I was in college, if you can believe that. I would like to play the first one. I've been listening to all this music all week long. It just has me in the mood to play Fable 1, you know what I mean? Anyway, on to business. I hope you guys had a good week. I had an okay week. Just my allergies are going crazy. I didn't even know I had allergies, right? But I guess I do. It's been really windy here in LA. And every night when I go to sleep, I'm crazy. My sinuses are itchy and it's tough. But, I got Benadryl. That's pretty good. The trade-off is that, oh my gosh, that stuff is groggy. It'll make you so drowsy. But anyway, just been working, just been conflict resolving. I'm pretty pleased with where we're at now. And kind of, I wanted to hit you guys with an updated roadmap today. Just an updated list of kind of everything that needs to be done. And roughly how long it'll take, hopefully. And I got that in my little black notebook here. But you know what? As I stop to think about it, why don't we visually represent it with everyone's favorite image processing program, Paint, right? Alright, you know what we're going to do? Let's do it this way. Let's make it tall. Tall boy. Okay. Let me make sure I'm on the right page here. This is cool. I can't remember if I mentioned this to you guys, but my friends and I have been playing through Myst and Riven. You guys ever play that? It's been a really fun experience to cumulatively puzzle solve together over like Discord while one of us plays. It's fun coronavirus activity. Highly recommend it. Those games are still, beautiful. Absolutely amazing. They hold up completely. And it's really cool to go back through them as an adult when you can understand the story. When I was a child, I was, the depth of it all was completely lost on me. Oh my gosh, chat is going wild. Making sure I didn't miss anything juicy. It's tall but hidden by my camera. Oh, that it is. Here, let's do this. How about that? I mean, all I'm going to do really is put a bunch of Comic Sans text up on there, because I think it's funny. Rust released a beta version of the mod. Sure, let's check it out real fast, Rust. Well, here, I'll check it out. I won't get sidetracked here. Before I do it, Twiz is in the chat. I see that boy. He's the one who's been playing Mist for us and Riven, which is really fun being in the driver's seat, I'm sure. You just have 7 people all yelling solutions at you all at once. Okay. So, let's take a look at the updated roadmap, shall we? What's a good color? Orange? Get some orange. Comic Sans. Paint really is not good for this kind of thing. Oh, I already have it in Comic Sans. Cool. I do this a lot. Make joke images in Comic Sans. Okay. Oh yeah, here's the symbols from Riven that we've been messing with. I promise that's all very important. It's all very esoteric. You need an IQ of 170 to even begin to process, really. Okay. So first and foremost, as you guys know, I've been conflict resolving, and that is almost done. It's really exciting because it's a long, laborious process, but as you can see here, I'm working through Fozar's Dragonborn patch, so just making sure that Dragonborn is all squared away with Fozar's newest version. Once that's over, I have to finish going through my old plugin for Ultimate Skyrim, but I don't think that'll be too bad. So I hope to be done with that by the end of the week. So let's go ahead and put that on the roadmap, right? Call this, that's too big. 48 text. Let's try 28. How about that? Conflict resolution. There we go. Nice and centered. Ish. I'm going to have an arrow go down this way, right? Yes, a cool pocket notebook is quite nice. An alternative, if you will. For certain types of things, I like being able to draw or write, right? If you have a Wacom tablet, that would probably do it. But you can't beat classic pen and paper. So conflict resolution. Now that was what the meat of the effort was, you might say, or a large portion of it. So it's very exciting that might be done. Up next comes what we'll call crafting changes. This is kind of a misnomer, so let me elaborate on this. As some of you might know, anyone who's played Ultimate Skyrim Classic, there are a lot of proprietary changes to the crafting system. Most of these I will be reverting to prepare for a kind of reinterpretation of the system that will be coming in a subsequent update. To be clear, you know what? Here, let me be especially clear here. We are going to title this. I'm going to move this down. Beautiful. We'll call this Roadmap to Early Access. Oops. Accessors. Let's expand this beautiful text box, because that's really, I mean, like I've said in the previous streams, it's an alpha or a beta or whatever you want to call it. I mean, functionally speaking, it's early access. You guys are getting an early version of the build that will very likely contain bugs and unfinished features that we need to identify and work through together. The hope here is that by releasing it to you guys early, we will have a much larger testing base and play testing base so that we can just sweep up everything faster, really. It's kind of the first example of the more open development that I'm trying to bring to the special edition version, which I'll just call Ultimate Skyrim instead of Ultimate Skyrim SE at a certain point. But anyway, so crafting changes, right? Again, this will mostly be just me defaulting the crafting settings, because I've got a lot of stuff planned for crafting, but a lot of the changes are related to some other systems changes, like perks and skills and things like that. So it's outside of the scope for the initial release. The cool thing here is that, the mods are built to work out of the box, and the new CCOR complete crafting overhaul remastered or rebuild, or I'm not sure what Cryptoper called it, Features a pretty cool new like sorting system for the crafting menu, so it all works already. It just is not going to have some of the old changes that I implemented, and that's because some of my old changes are getting reworked in future versions. So the reason this is kind of on here and takes up, you know, a node, we'll say, is because there's a lot of crafting recipes in Ultimate Skyrim. There's a lot of changes to both forward and also revert, so it's going to take a while. In fact, we've done this before, but if you want, we can take a look at the sheer amount of crafting recipes that are in the Legendary Edition, the Classic plugin. If you hit Constructible Object, you can see, if we go all the way down to the bottom here, sort by editor ID, so it's nice and kind of straightforward. Featuring Squeaky Mouse. Scroll all the way down. Oh my god. All the way down. Keep going. Very bottom. There we are. So if I select all of those records, it's 20,000. 20,459. Which is a lot. But thankfully, this is why I'm, you know, talking about this, is that a lot of the records that are shown here are ones that we're going to be able to safely leave behind. They are references to old content that's no longer a problem or no longer in the game. It'll take some amount of time, and that's why it's on the roadmap. So we got that. Up next, I get to finish the NPCs. So let's make a little line here. This is a very expertly put together image. Visual artist, please hire me. Call this Finish NPCs. So if some of you remember, some of my earlier streams were all about evaluating different NPC. Shots, thank you so much for the sub. I don't know why I didn't hear any sounds. Maybe it just got eaten by the thingy. Taz started conflict with them, slow going and learning what to do. It's pretty tricky. I believe there's some good tutorials out there by like Gopher and the like, maybe Gamer Poets, and L Wasp. I couldn't tell you. Here, let me lower the Fable music ever so slightly. Anyway, so some of you might remember that I was evaluating NPC appearances, just all the different NPC mods. It's almost done, but what I really need to do now is go through and essentially remove all of the different face generation files from all the mods who are being overwritten. It's a bunch of technical bullshit, but it takes some time, so I have that on here just in the interest of, you know, building out, making sure we're noting everything that's going to take time. Thank you very much, Shots. Really appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining us. So that one's on there. Up next, we got, these lines are getting smaller and smaller. Oh, this is a big one. Resolving nav meshes. This one I'm a little bit worried about. So, we've talked about this before too, but for those who were not there or who don't know what this is, a nav mesh is essentially a, you know, it's a big shape that exists in the game world, in Bethesda games, and in many 3D open world games. It is there to tell the game's NPCs where they are able to walk and to pathfind to. The difficulty with nav meshes is that you can't conflict resolve them the same way you can other edits. So you have two mods that are each editing the same area, and each one of them has their own version of the nav mesh. You need, in that case, you can't just kind of smush the two together in like Xedit. You have to go into Creation Kit and basically load both mods and create a third nav mesh that incorporates the changes from both. Now, I don't think this is a particularly, you know, hyper difficult thing to do. And there are, I believe, resources on how to do it, and I have a couple modder friends who I imagine would be pretty okay with, lending some insight for me. The thing is this is not something I've really ever done before. Taz, thank you so much for the sub. Resolving nav meshes is a new skill to me, and of course those kinds of things are always a little hanky because whenever you're learning a new skill, you don't really know how much time it's going to take to become proficient and to do it. And there's a lot of nav meshes, unfortunately, that need some attention. Some of them are more what we'll call essential than others. So, for example, some nav meshes in like towns, for example, probably need to be addressed. There are other nav meshes in other areas that are less essential, so I will try to prioritize these and make sure that I'm focusing on the ones that are essential. Because we can always, as long as they're semi-functional, which usually they are, even if you're not completely, if you haven't conflict resolved them, usually they'll work well enough. So, at least, knock on wood. So hopefully that won't take too long, but again, that one's kind of iffy, right? So we'll have to wait and see about that one. Anything, again, that is a brand new thing that I've never done before, I try to allow more time for things like that because you just really, it's hard to estimate with no experience, no prior experience. Oh, next up, we've got finalized ins. This is a big one. Ooh, that's nice and centered. This is a big one. It's just, we have mods that edit the ins. Ins are a location that are very near and dear to my heart and something I consider integral to the ultimate Skyrim experience. Hanging out in the local tavern is a big activity for our version of Skyrim here. So I want to make sure that I go through and just kind of clean up all the errant, edits from different lighting mods and things like, embers, adding different fireplaces. The issue with inns is that a lot of, we're using Perseids inns and taverns, right? It usually changes the layouts of most of the inns, and that means that other mods need to be patched so that they are aware of Perseids changes. So that's something I would like to go through and do, and just kind of make sure. It shouldn't take that long. It's more really about getting rid of objects that aren't supposed to be there, making sure the nav meshes are correct, making sure that we don't have too many light sources so that we can, avoid that really annoying flickering issue that comes into place. So that gets its own node. Next, we've got... What a beautiful document we're putting together here. Trying to squish these a little bit just to make sure we have room. Next, we have... I'll call this World Space Cleanup. World Space Cleanup is like just going around the world. You can almost factor this into like, or lump this under like general playtesting, but World Space Cleanup is basically, let's walk through the world, let's try and find objects and place statics that are clipping, let's fix those, let's make sure NPCs are not just standing around because their AI is broken in some way. Generally it's just, let's walk around and make sure everything is at least at a glance working the way it's supposed to. The plus side to that, and it really shouldn't take that long, I think a lot of it has been done already, but, probably ought to do it. The cool thing about this is that it's perfect for, like, streams. So when I'm doing this, I will most likely be streaming a bit more often. It's suited very well to that sort of thing, I'd say. So we get to hang out more, if you're down. Okay, next up we have... so this is basically like kind of like the last one. Oh wait, no, I missed one. Oh, this one's fun. This is like my favorite. I'm saving this one for last because for me it's like, or semi-last. This is like my favorite shit to do, which is design UI/HUD. So anyone who's played Ultimate Skyrim before knows that it comes with a custom heads-up display, right? I really like doing that. I like designing the HUD. I want to make it even better, and I have some really kind of preeminent ideas in my head for just the slight changes that I'm going to make that I think are going to be really cool. It's just a balance of showing you the information you need to see in a relatively unobtrusive way. Another plan that I have for the HUD this time around is to make it all toggleable very easily. So basically, instead of kind of messing with the what you might call situational or reactive HUD, the way that we have it on Legendary Edition, which is a cool concept. What I mean by that is, you have your HUD only shows up when it's like super relevant, right? So like your stamina bar, for example, does not show up unless your stamina is being drained. This is a very cool concept, I think, but it visually starts to look weird when you have these UI elements all kind of laid out a certain way, and it was two problems. One is that when all of them are laid out a certain way and only some of them appear kind of contextually is the word I'm looking for, it just makes the UI kind of look odd to me. It's like, imagine Dark Souls if, the only time anything ever showed up on it was when it was being affected. And that leads me to problem 2, which is that sometimes I think it's kind of useful to have all of those UI elements visible just so you can, it's almost like a peace of mind thing, right? Like, make sure that my health is all the way up, stuff of that sort. And of course, the trade-off here is that I want you to be able to live in the world immersively as well, and you don't just have a bunch of UI elements, however minimalist they might be or however unobtrusive. So I want to make it all, toggleable very easily with one of the primary kind of keys near your hands, so that you can very easily just like pop in the HUD and, see what you need to and then turn it off. You forgot the last one, play the new version. You're talking about the HUD in the last version, in which case, if you are Rust, we actually had to remove it because the HUD, one of the biggest mods that I use for the HUD is iEquip. Unfortunately, we had to drop iEquip for Ultimate Skyrim Classic because basically, and I completely understand this, it's pretty much where we're at with Classic as well. The creators of iEquip just did not have the bandwidth to maintain the two separate versions. So there's a couple outstanding bugs on iEquip Legendary Edition that they do not plan on fixing, and for that reason we decided to remove iEquip in order to avoid those bugs. Those bugs do not exist on the... I understand, Rust. Those bugs do not exist on Special Edition, which is really cool. So that's designing the UI and the HUD. And then this is kind of the last one, if you don't count testing. Or at least it should be. I really tried to make this comprehensive to think about, one, the scope, just to keep it all, nice and tight. And also just make sure I'm getting everything comprehensively. My disclaimer here is that it's possible I forgot something. I don't think that I did, but, it's been known to happen. So apologies if I did, and I have to update this at some point. But as of today, this moment, I think that this is up to date. The final one is automating MCMs. Some of you may know of the mod Ye Old MCM, I believe it's called. I know that the author's named Ye Old. This is a mod that is on Special Edition that claims to allow users and authors like myself to automate a lot of MCMs. This is, of course, one of those holy grail things that we've wanted for so long. Obviously, it is just not a fun time to have to reconfigure your MCMs every single time you start a new character. So basically what I'm going to do here is fire up this mod, see what I can automate, see what cannot be automated. I'm willing to bet that there's still going to be some MCMs that we just cannot automate yet. Because there's more stuff you can do to automate MCMs. You can adjust settings internally with something like Xedit. In the event that settings are updated on game start by scripts, you can edit those scripts to implement the settings that you want out the gate. But that all, of course, is additional time and effort, and there's no way I would guarantee that we'd be able to automate all of it, especially not in this first version. But basically, it's going to be a first pass. Let's automate as much as we can with a relatively little time investment, see where we're at, And already I think that's going to be a huge improvement, because obviously the more anything that we can automate is less time that you guys have to spend, fiddling around with in-game settings. I'm just trying to make it as close as possible to a regular old game where you can start the game and play with little to no messing around with stuff, right? So that's a big one, and I'm hoping, I personally am very excited about that. I imagine users would be too, because you guys are the ones who actually play. I don't get to play that much. But that'll change too, hopefully. And finally, that brings us to testing. Now, this is the interesting one, because, again, yes, Ring is right, that anything can be automated. The difficulty with, my eventual goal, knock on wood, of course, and I cannot guarantee this will be possible, my eventual goal is to automate everything, so that, again, you're just starting the game and playing through, and that's it. You just hit new game and get to play, and bing, bang, boom, everything's configured for you. So you can do that, shots, and that's actually what we used to do, and in some cases we recommend people making template saves. That's what we call them. The issue with that is that there are actually some elements of a file of a game in Skyrim that are baked into your save on game start. So if you use a template save, as we call them, and what I mean by that, for anyone who doesn't know, is you fill out all the MCMs, make sure that they're good to go, and then you create a save before starting the game, and then whenever you want to start a new game, you just load that save, and all of your MCMs are already done. The issue with that is that any of those randomized elements, which includes, I don't have a comprehensive list, but it includes kind of certain, like random, I want to say, like Radiant quests are specific to like a certain spot. Things like Meridia's Beacon will always be in the same spot, I believe, and there's some other elements there too. It's just not really best practices, you might say. So ideally, I would like to avoid doing that. It is always an option, and we'll always evaluate, what the best way to achieve the goal is. But as I started to say, you can really dig into stuff and automate it, like through scripts and everything like that. The difficulty with providing our own versions of scripts that automate the MCMs by default is that when those mods update, we now have additional kind of maintenance load, because we have to take our updated script and reconcile it with whatever updates the mod author might have made to that mod's scripts, an MCM script. So it's the more automating that we do that is outside of like ye old and Xedit, the greater debt we take on in that way, and the harder it becomes to update, which is obviously not ideal. So it's a balance, right? You got to strike a balance. The plus side there is that a lot of mods, are mostly finalized. They don't get updates anymore, and for ones like those, that's perfect. We can really edit those however we want, but of course we'll just have to evaluate and balance it all as we go. Excuse me. So finally, that brings us to testing, right? So testing is the final bit. This actually worked out quite nicely. Testing is the final bit, and it's exactly what it says. It's just going through and trying to find anything that is very obviously broken that we missed. But it's at this stage that, more or less, I'm going to be releasing it to you guys. You can call this like early access release, right? As long as it's stable and functional and whatever, relatively stable, we'll say, it should be in a spot to release to you guys, and then we can all basically start working together on refining it. You guys will be able to find bugs and unfinished things and stuff that's not working and report it to us. In the meantime, I can work on implementing the new features that I'm working on. Really, this is when it all kind of kicks off, you might say. And this, I think, is the roadmap. Again, I might be forgetting something. I hope that I'm not, but I tried to think about this for a couple days to make sure that I wasn't forgetting anything. So hopefully it's comprehensive. One caveat I should say, something I am aware of that I should probably mention, is that the development team, Ultimate Skyrim dev team, is currently working on a new launcher, which is kind of integral to our new way of doing things, right? Oh no, plot, that sucks. Oh, I'm so sorry. Jeez, do you know what's wrong with it? Like, do you have any sort of inkling by chance? Oh yeah, Ring is on the dev team, so he can, I mean, I don't want to volunteer your time, Ring, if anyone has questions, and that also is related to what I was going to say. So the dev team, you know, they're volunteers working on this launcher in their spare time. I cannot speak for their time and guarantee, you know, their timeline by any means. The amount of work that they have done on the, oh my gosh, CP Max, thank you so much for the sub, 2-month streak, very, very sweet. The amount of work that they've already done on this launcher is absolutely insane. The pace at which they put this thing together is amazing to me. Connor, you were a cheeky bastard. It's really, really impressive. This was a joint effort by our dev team and also Tyler Twiz, who's in the chat all the time, who designed the UI and the dev team. It's crazy to me how from the concept to the actual implementation, it's like practically identical, which is rare with these kinds of things. Most of the time you have to, you know, kind of compromise. Something doesn't work quite the way you had hoped from the concept to the execution, which of course might still happen. But as of now, it's crazy, like how close the two are. So it's coming along really, really nicely, and I imagine they might be done far sooner than I am with these things, but again, I cannot guarantee this. I cannot volunteer their time or put them on any sort of timeline like that. So just, it's a potential X factor that I'd like to tell you guys about in the interest of, you know, truth in advertising, we'll say. And that's pretty much it, everyone. Once we've got these things done, now, here's I guess the big thing that everyone's probably thinking is, how long will this take? So, I've thought about that a lot. I think that if I am really on it, and I mean really on it, this is doable in, let's say, 3 months. 3 months is hopefully the outside. I'm trying to get it done sooner than that. And I want to be clear that this really is not, missed a thing in the roadmap, getting started documentation. Well, I guess I'd put that in the same category. Mika is Liz, by the way, anyone who doesn't know, our stalwart shield on the support team. I'll put that in the same category as the launcher, where it's your time that I cannot volunteer, but I imagine we will all be working on this, you know, kind of together and keeping us all around. Also, that's really cool, Ring. I had no idea. You know, fun. I don't know if Tyler's still here, but we had like a little fun story from when we were kids. Tyler used to build like fake, like paper electronics. Oh, there he is. Okay, so Tyler had a little company, and this is the commonality, is just side hustles as a child, right? Tyler had a little company that he called Playtel, and he would build these paper, like, toy, just gadgets and, like, you know, technological gizmos. At one point, he built, like, an entire laptop. He would build, like, Palm Pilots, like, little Game Boys and stuff. And I really, when I say they're made out of paper, I need to stress that these things were, like, of impeccable quality. We're talking, like, full laminate, working disk drives, like, I don't even know. Tyler, you can elaborate. Just very well made, like, little, you know, just devices that would always have, like, a slot for you to, like, swap in different, like, screens to kind of, like, really help you imagine that you were operating like a little, you know, device. It was really, really fun. Everyone wanted one, and he would sell them, like, you know, at school, in elementary school. And I had, like, a little, I was like the original Mad Cats in this case. I had, like, a side, like, a middleman business selling peripherals for his paper gadgets. So I would make like link cables and like, you know, shitty like controllers and stuff like for it. Well, he's of course he's like Apple and I'm Mad Catz is really the analogy. And eventually they stopped us. I still remember I remember where I was when they told us that we could no longer sell things because all the kids were paying us all their money. And you know, they just crushed our entrepreneurial spirit. Third party ride or die. Absolutely, that was me. Also Rust, I am totally waiting for Hollow Knight as well. Silk Song. Also, I'm reading Plot's message. That sucks, dude. I'm really sorry. I'm hoping that it's... I don't know what's better for the potential lifespan of the drives, PSU instability or just the motherboard dying. I would say almost the motherboard dying would be preferable because then it's maybe not some sort of surge or something and you can recover the drives. Yeah, hostile takeover. Dude, it's this is why we need what's it called? I guess would this be antitrust laws? Which are the ones that break up monopolies? But anyway, what was I even talking about before that? Oh yeah, timelines. So I think that this will take approximately 3 months if I'm really on it. Again, I'm trying to get it done sooner than that, and I want to be clear that this is not a definitive release date by any means. I'm just trying to keep you guys in the loop with what I think is reasonable. I'll be honest that I have found it pretty difficult to ensure 100% productivity lately. I think it's just, I mean, it's a combo of things. It's a combo of all the craziness that was happening in the U.S. lately, so I'm hoping the fact that things are calming down a little bit will help. And just, you know, I think coronavirus stressors that have been hitting everybody, where it's just, it's tough to kind of sit in the same spot, right, and just kind of plunk away at things. But I'm trying to be a bit more structured with my schedule and with my productivity. I'm hoping to improve that stuff. And I mean, Connor has the real truth of it, which is that it'll be ready when it's ready. I will, of course, keep you guys updated the same way that I do, you know, with these streams, or am doing with these streams. And I promise I will be working my absolute hardest to get this out to you as soon as possible. Because I think that's really gonna kick everything off. You know, it's the first version you guys will have to play, and that'll obviously get us playtesting data. We'll be able to improve the experience so much with that, and I'm just excited to have you guys finally get to play it, you know, however early access it might be. And also, I really appreciate you guys saying all this about taking your time and everything, because it does make me feel a lot better. And I think that I've seen a lot of people, you know, just express similar experiences with their own kind of COVID work. And I think that, you know, it's when you kind of direct yourself with work, it's so easy to kind of rush yourself or to feel stressed out because you know people are waiting for your work and everything like that, which I'm very lucky for. But I promise I'm trying to take care of myself and keep a routine and stay healthy and exercise and do all the things that generally help your state of mind and your productivity. Hello, Moonlamb, how you doing? Thank you for joining us. And you know, I hope to crank through these things as quickly as possible and just kick it all off with early access. And I'm so excited for the new launcher. I think it's really going to be like just a big improvement to the user experience, right? Where you don't have to. I think it's going to really lower the accessibility floor, because it's still a bit esoteric as of now. I'm just trying to target like a much wider audience, right? Or just pretty much it's like anyone who's interested in the type of experience that we're making here. I'm hoping very badly that we can kind of reduce the technical barriers, so that you don't have to be some sort of, you know, sick modder in order to do stuff, and then so you also don't have to spend a million years configuring in-game settings and all that. Thorin, absolutely. So for anyone who's missed this, also I'm gonna move this just to make sure that the chat is easy to read on the VOD. For those of you who've not heard of it, I hadn't heard of it, and Thorin, you told me about it on Twitter, I believe. Was that you? There is another Windhelm Thank you very much for that heads up. That's frankly how I get many of my recommendations or ideas, is you guys share them with me on Reddit, on Twitter, on Discord. So always feel free to do that. I really appreciate it. There is a Windhelm overhaul. We can bring it up. That looks really incredible. I think it would make a great basis for the eventual expansion of Windhelm. You guys know that I would like to expand all of the major cities. And this shit is really cool because it kind of contends to have historically accurate defenses, right? So where's the photos of it that are just kind of really give you a feel for how cool this shit is. This is what it looks like from across the river. You have these historically accurate kind of battlements and defenses that look really rad. There's one picture I'm looking for in particular. It's like, where is it at? This one does a good job. So if you remember in the last stream, we looked at Capital Windhelm expansion, right? And apparently people are just now deciding to hit up Windhelm finally, which is really cool because we've talked about how it doesn't get as much attention typically. Yeah, you can totally get on. I think you can get onto the walls. I'm pretty sure. I can see stairs and things running up like that. And the author I saw in the comments specifically mention, yes, Capital Windhelm expansion. So these authors, the Capital Windhelm expansion is the one that we looked at. It looks like they would like to patch the two mods to work together, which is really cool. And of course this is all future stuff that we'd have to kind of evaluate as it goes, but it just, look at this, like, it's really impressive. And I'm always about kind of realistic defenses and making these places feel expanded and like real cities that would be reasonably kind of built out this way. Windhelm, all the cities are very tiny, of course, but Windhelm especially it's supposed to be this grand city, oldest city in the book, right? Oldest city in Tamriel by some accounts. So the idea of kind of building it up like this is really cool to me. In the same way that, Whiterun, we saw Whiterun in 2 streams ago, I want to say. That was really cool. Hey, Tayson, how you doing? Thank you for joining us. Honestly, we could totally pop this in and just kind of walk around the way that we did with the other one. It's probably more interesting for you guys to watch than me doing X-edit work, of course. Yes, Rust, I will check this out right meow. Mod allows the equipment obtained or lost during a battle main character kept at the end of the battle, make possible to obtain equipment and lose it while fighting. Interesting. Mod acts at the time. This is your mod, huh? Survive the battle or not injured. Ah, I understand. Very cool. That would really be nice to... I find that Bannerlord suffers from the same problem that vanilla Skyrim does, which is that... It's like once you have, equipment of a certain quality, it's you have it forever. There's really no mechanic that would take it away from you. So I like this a lot. It's something I think most players on Bannerlord probably don't play with permadeath. I have not played with permadeath yet. Maybe once I'm better at the game, I will do that. This would be a nice compromise for that, I think. Looks very cool. Very cool stuff, dude. Thank you so much for the sub, Fortuna. I appreciate it. Thanks. Hoping to have my Windhelm mod finished soonish. Nice, Tayson. You know what? That's funny you mentioned that. I remember the last time I popped into your stream was, like around, what was it, like Christmas time or sometime when I was on break, and you were working on Windhelm. So I'm assuming it's the same edits, same changes. What are you working on, if you don't mind us asking? Very cool, Rust. Alright, let's give this a download. Ow! Epic Windhelm base, Windhelm exterior altered patch. Interesting. Whiterun is the oldest city in Skyrim. The original companion cell there travel south in Matmora. Windhelm was created by the elves. I don't know, Ring. I swear, though, it's like a fun little tidbit. Windhelm, oldest city in Tamriel. It is not only the oldest city in Tamriel, but it is the oldest continuously inhabited human settlement. Founded by Ysgramor. Well, so that kind of fits with what you were talking about, right? Maybe they built Windhelm afterwards? Not really sure. Also, I don't... Do you guys... Man, I don't know. I think I forget to blink. I always complain about this, but my eyes are just constantly donked. Penis. Uh-oh. I know it's possible. Where did you hear that ring? And yeah, does this... Oh, if Ysgramor is the one who founded it. I guess it's possible because Atmore is supposed to be to the north. So maybe, yeah. I mean, that's true, T. Man, it really is. Like sometimes I'll just, you know, I'll go from like a website with dark mode, especially when it's nighttime. I'll go from a website with dark mode to something like this, and it's just like being blind. It's like when you leave the vault in the Fallout games for the first time. Whiterun started his companions turn their boats upside down. That's right. So then, yes, I'm not quite sure how those two factoids reconcile, unfortunately. But, you know, not our problem, is it? Okay, let me make sure I'm bookmarked properly here. I am not. So I was working on quest. That's fine. And I got through... How many of these? All of that. Let me finish off these records right quick, just so I know kind of where I'm at. That's okay. So is that... Did I finish all of them? I think I did. Okay, cool. We'll start... Whoops, no. There. Did I finish? No, you know what? I didn't finish them because I was in editor ID mode and not form ID, which is typically how I resolve these. We are here. Alright, sweet. Ipso facto, progress saved. And let's go check out Epic Windhelm. Whiterun strikes me as a retirement spot, whereas Winterhold was the city. That would make sense to me, Pumpkin Cake. It's that element about them using the boats that they brought to build Windhelm, or build Whiterun, excuse me, that would imply, yes, that they built it first. So I don't know. I don't know about that one. Also, you guys want to listen to thus far my favorite track from Fable? Let me find it here. If you guys remember, let me know if it's loud enough. I'll bump it up a little bit. How's that? Can you hear it? It's kind of left heavy at first. Turning it up for myself. It's very atmospheric. Let's give it a listen. Here. Wow. ASMR. Lower it back down. So this is the Temple of Avo, which is there's like the two temples in Fable. One of them's like the Temple of Good and the other one's the Temple of Evil. Yes, this is the Temple of Light, which I think is kind of cool because it's very melancholic. You'd almost think that this is the evil one if you didn't know any better, which I like. It's kind of, I don't know, eerie and mysterious. But it is the Temple of Light, and this is located in the Witchwood, which is another kind of like Twilight mysterious, not Twilight vampires, Twilight atmospherically. It's just very cool. It's a very cool area, one of the later game areas. Anyway. Let's see what we got. Okay, so also, I was messing around with the new dynamic volumetric lighting and sun shadows. I don't know if you guys know of this mod, but it came out last week, and it's a big game changer. Basically, Special Edition has more volumetric lighting and like God rays and things like that, but I guess by default, you only get those effects in between the hours of 10 a.m. and 6 p.m., which is strange because the sun is still visible outside of that range, and this mod just essentially kind of updates that behavior so that you get it all day long, 24 hours, I believe. Just going to restart. Oh yeah, this one kind of fades out and then restarts. We have this going for 1 hour. I hope you like it, because I'm going to listen to it for a bit. Where am I? Here we go. What am I doing? No. There we are. Now, there's no way I'm going to be able to run this on top of our existing build, but I'll do kind of what I did. Well, nah, it'll just be easier to do vanilla. So maybe you guys won't get to see the volumetric lighting. You can always throw it on there. It'll just look less impressive than it would if we have all the other graphics mods in there. We good to go? Wow, that was fat. I guess it's just using existing assets, so only 8.676 megabytes. Pretty good. And that's pretty much it, right? There's a patch for Windhelm exterior altar, but I don't think I'm using that anymore. Gonna double check. I am not. Alright, perfect. Alright, let's get rid of we'll make backups, and then we are going to get rid of all of these mods. Chapel of Scorn music is much more eerie. That makes sense to me, Taz. Sarthal was the first human settlement, also the first human capital city. Oh, so is the UESP wrong then that Windhelm is the oldest city? I usually trust the UESP. Oh yeah, this is going to be a massive incompatibility with Open Skyrim. The difficulty with some of these is that I would essentially have to, unless the author decides to do it themselves, I will have to patch them manually for open cities, which is something that I have not done yet. It's another thing that I would like to become familiar with. I have some tools that I've found that will hopefully help, but it's a pretty monumental task. So it's always nice if the authors decide to do it themselves. Saves us time for sure. Alright, Epic Windhelm expansion. And then we're going to go back up. Oh, you know what? I remember I made this mistake last time. I think this is a better idea. Here we go all the way up to our kind of system and UI mods here. Disable these selectively. Disable selected. Where is it? There it is. Excuse me. Let's listen to the gotcha. I understand. Thorin. I get how it makes sense in that context. Yes, Pumpkin. Exactly. It's like they are good aligned places, but they're it's a far cry from like the Stormwind music, for example, right? I want to listen to the Chapel of Scorn. Scorm. Pause this one just for a second. It's so crazy that this was the Philharmonic Orchestra, right? Philharmonia Orchestra? Is that a typo? Intense. Terrifying. Different orchestras. Oh, well. There you go. Yeah, that definitely... You'd be hard-pressed to characterize this one as good in any way, right? It sounds pretty evil, but maybe that's just because I'm looking at this picture and I'm already primed psychologically to think that. Who can say? Who can account for all of their subconscious biases, right? All right, we got Skyrim Unbound still there, I believe. We need to get rid of the... Is Skyrim Unbound still there? Let's make sure. There it is. I see you. And then... why don't we throw on dynamic volume? Oh, I wanted to test this too. This hit stop mod that doesn't use scripts. So I can toss that in there, right? Only finished generating LODs after 36 minutes. That is a long time. Far less time than it's been for some, as I've seen. Some people, it seems to take their computer quite a long time to generate Dindulod. And at the moment, I actually can't do it with at least the latest version 3.0 because it's very... I mentioned this, I think, in the last stream, right? That they... Whoa, I'm sorry. I just completely lost my train of thought. What the heck was I saying a second ago? Oh, yeah, LODs. That, jeez. I haven't been sleeping well. Like, it's my allergies and that Benadryl business. Either I don't take it and I just am up all night, or I do take it and I just end up feeling super groggy the next day. So it's kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't. My brain is feeling the impact for sure. But the newest version of Dindulod has a very like intense error checker for your load order, which is cool in a way because then it helps you kind of, you know, make sure that there's no errors left in your biz. But it also it's not very easy to generate LODs. Whoa, what? Ring, does that mean you're 100% at risk, or it's like a guaranteed thing? Jesus, dude. Well, also, I mean, if it's any consolation, oh, okay, thank God. Oh my God, dude, you scared me. Oh, because that's like, Alzheimer's is like the most terrible thing. One of the most terrible things in my mind. Jesus. Oh God. But also there's really promising research in the field of Alzheimer's. In like the past couple decades. Oh man, I'm like as relieved as I was surprised and nerve-wracked. I'm hoping, knock on wood, that there will be, I don't know, like it's perhaps ambitious to say that, you know, we'll ever be able to cure it or prevent it entirely, but there's a lot of promising stuff. I love Gus Johnson too. I'm very curious as to what that video is. Also, I'm wearing pants today. I'm wearing pajama pants, but not the ones that I like. Not all pajama pants are created equal, let me tell you. These ones are very... They don't breathe, you know what I mean? My legs are just too hot. The top of me will be cold and the bottom of me is hot. First world problems, you know what I mean? I have other pajama pants that I love that are just beautiful, perfect. Oh, it's so quiet. Is it? Have we talked about this before? How crazy quiet Skyrim is compared to like every other game that I play. It's like the client is just crazy. I wore jeans twice in the last year. Dude, I still wear jeans. Oh, now I can hear it. I mean, that's 100%. You turn it up even more. So the keen-eyed among you will notice that. Let's see, what time is this supposed to be? Yeah, 8:06 a.m. So the keen-eyed among you will notice that we are still getting volumetric lighting, even though we should not be, because it's before 10, and that's because of the volumetric lighting mod. And to me, the difference is like immediately noticeable. It really does look a lot nicer. Yeah, Ring, this is SSE by default, by the way. Sometimes I look at this and I'm like, shit, do I even need to add in all the different texture mods and stuff? There's a strong argument to be made. The answer is no. However, and like this whole area, like character models not looking so great. And the problem is that the art direction, I've always thought the art direction is really strong in Skyrim. Unfortunately, the textures themselves are not particularly high fidelity, right? So if you get up close to them, like you can see down on the ground there, it's pretty low res. Not amazing. Like this, that's not great. But I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if stuff like that is just kind of not that big a deal, right? I think it is less of a big deal than it is more. I do too, Ring, and I try very hard to kind of keep a vanilla feel and a realistic feel while also updating the graphics into the next-gen contemporary era. Yes, totally plot. Yeah, Cisco, I always put it at 100 minimum now. It's always made me sick. FOVs that are really high. Hold on. TGM, set time, game time to 10. Game hour, whoops. Oof. There we go. But it still looks quite nice as long as you don't get up close to things, right? But I've really tried to maintain that kind of vanilla feel. Hopefully you guys will agree that I've managed it with the particular suite of mods that we have. Let's go to Windhelm Exterior 01. Let's see what we've got waiting for us. All right, well, off the bat, that already looks cool as heck. Look at that stuff. And of course, many plans to expand this area, right, with additional stuff. So this is really nice, actually, that it leaves us this much space. I think that'll work out well with a lot of the other mods. Can I get on top of this? Please tell me I can. Yes, I can. King in the castle. Oof. Let's see it. Yes, as Sacroletius would say, matriculations, I believe it's called. Stop being racist. Racists get deleted. Boom. Look. Go about your day. I love when you delete the other actors that they're supposed to be interacting with, then they just like run through all their lines super fast. Look at this. Look at all this. My issue here then becomes like, okay, open cities, right? I should be able to jump over this, but I can't, right? Unfortunately. Can I use this? Oh my god. Can I use this? Motherfucker, I can use the catapult. Imagine doing that when it's open cities and that's actually the world out there instead of just, you know, an LOD approximation. Holy jeez. Excuse me, I'm a burp. I like it a lot. Thank you very much, Crad, by the way. Much appreciated. South Wall Tower. Who has the key, I wonder? So this looks beautiful. Obviously, you can add little details and stuff, and this is why, you want to fill out this area with more NPCs and stuff, because then it's really brought to life, we'll say, right? Or like details up here that I'm sure the author is going to add as a base. This is absolutely gorgeous. I love it, and it really enhances the scale to me, which is kind of the biggest consideration, we'll say. Am I actually supposed to be able to get in here, or are these locked because the interiors are not yet finished? Yeah, that's what I assumed. Look at, we did it, everybody. No bounty. Yes, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep that functionality. It does either. I mean, I would love to keep the catapult. I just don't know if I can attach some sort of bounty to that. I should be able to, right? Doesn't seem tremendously difficult. Oh, fuck. No collision on that. Surprised there's collision on these. Oh, I can fix that. Oops. There we are. Very cool. What do we got here? Windswept Manor Commons. I'm allowed to go in here. Right, so you can see that this is largely going to be kind of a platform, I think, for the author to kind of expand upon. Hopefully you can get some help. Also, you can see, because I don't have the... I mean, it shouldn't be orange. You can change the color of the distant fog. But... the lighting changes that we implement gets rid of that kind of like distant fog and I don't know, dust, for lack of a better term. It's kind of cool, but it's also kind of like 2003, right? That like orange that you get volumetrically. Hello, Arn. Can't go in there. It does. I mean, this shit really brings to life kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons tavern feeling, which I quite like. I like it a lot. There's also a new second gate into the city on the northeast side. I saw that in the screenshots. We'll make sure to go check it out. Residence 04, of course. Everyone's favorite residence. 04. This very sweat-inducing set of stairs up to the lighthouse. Beautiful. Also, I believe that's Silt Sunrise. Oh, that's bright. Sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I gotta put on my dorky... orange glasses. You know, my sick blue light blockers. I used to have blue blockers, like nice ones. And then I lost them. It's been years. I've never seen them since. There it is. What do you guys think? Do I look like Gordon Freeman? That's the goal, for sure. Do I store my orange glasses? No, I picked them up off my desk and I was rubbing the dust off of them with my shirt. But I can see how it might appear. I mean, I have pockets, thankfully. Okay, so here's classic Windhelm right in the center there. We got, oh wow, look at this. Ooh, a bathhouse built in. How about that? I'm assuming that is also not filled out yet. I'm gonna bet money. Yes, it is not. That makes sense to me. But I love bathhouses. I know that sounds strange, but it's just they existed in these kind of old cities and stuff, right? So I think it makes sense that they're here. Look at these wide open streets upon the walls. Very cool. Where does this connect to exactly? Oh. And like we can remove this wall perhaps, or like connect here. So who lives here again? Yeah, Clan Shattershield. I can't imagine they're super cool with everyone just walking into their front yard and going up this set of stairs here. But it does feel very contiguous, does it not? Like a natural kind of extension. Very cool. This is the Mountain Caves, huh? Interesting. We got like another marketplace up here. And I always thought the Windhelm architecture was so cool, right? Yes, exactly, Fortuna. So it's really nice to see it utilized more because it is so unique, right? Like these building types, I always loved them from the base game. It's really nice to see more of it. Yes, totally, Taz. Like a snowy, I don't know, even larger Helm's Deep in a sense. And just being able to kind of climb up on top of everything. You guys know that I'm all about the climbing and the verticality. It would just be so fun to, kind of litter the rooftops with little secrets and secret entrances that, you can make use out of if you're a thief. Helm's Deep from the books, I understand. Whoa. Hey. Really king of the castle here. Look at me go. All right, and then we're connecting back to the Palace of the Kings. The Amulet of Kings. And, oh, it looks like we have an implementation of the pit. Is that correct? There is. Everyone, you can't make a, yes, totally Thorin. That's that's the whole reason why, oh, that's weird that we're missing a texture there. Maybe just not mapped properly. Everyone knows if you're gonna make a Windhelm overhaul, you have to re-implement the pit. Just sitting there in the game files. Nice buildings, but there's always the stuff about racism. Oh yes, I don't know if it would be a great place to live, especially if you were any other race besides a Nord. I gotta admit, I'm quite glad that they included the social strife, I guess, for lack of a better term, in Windhelm. And by that, I mean Bethesda. Because obviously Oblivion played it a lot safer when it came to kind of depictions of class disparity. Oh, I'm stuck on this side now. Come on, there we go. Uh-oh. There we go. Every Skyrim modder knows how to break the geometry, right? I say as I struggle to vault over a small fence. Anyone here running Ultimate Skyrim 960? There's no way, Siam. You could upgrade your computer even, and you're still not going to get 60 frames per second on... Oh, you know what I also don't think is going on here? Based on the fact that I'm dropping frames by looking in this direction, I'm willing to bet that these buildings do not have occlusion culling in them yet. That's something we were also kind of on the lookout for in the last stream. But that's easy to fix. Sacriletius, hello my friend. We were talking about you earlier because look, we're testing out what is this? It's Epic Windhelm expansion, perhaps? And look what they've added, my friend. Your favorite. So yes, much more realistic in terms of defenses. And you can walk around like the whole city. Look at this district down here. Kriega, have you looked at interesting NPCs? Oh, I have, Kriega. It's something that, to be honest with you, I am actually leaning more towards implementing these days. I do think that sometimes the voice lines are not fantastic, but I've spent more time with it over the years and found that on the whole, it's generally quite good, and what you get if you're willing to kind of overlook some of that stuff is a very high quality mod with a lot of content in it. And I really like to, here's, what's it called, Gray Quarter. I really like the concept of including even more, detailed characters and stuff in there. So I can't make any guarantees. I would still need to kind of play around with it, but I have leaned much far. If I had to say, I'm leaning either towards not implementing it or implementing it. I'm leaning much more towards implementing it as of now. Look at all this. Oh wow, digging that. Oh, look at these high walls. It reminds me of what another one that maybe we can test on this stream, since we have this kind of set up for it right now, is the whole Whiterun City of Walls business, right? Because I like that one too. Oh, here's the Northeast Gate. I'm really digging this. It just really gives it this feeling of being a big city, I'm getting that. You guys know that feeling you get when you get really excited about kind of smashing this all in there. Let's see what the gate looks like. Yeah, that's a good question, Rust. So not a lot done thus far on the northeast side here. It's pretty bare bones, but of course you can tell that this is just like an initial, it's likely an early access, quote unquote, build. Am I right? So very cool. I think we've seen most everything there is to see here. So why don't we pop back out? And I'm going to go ahead and take a look at Whiterun City of Walls. Excuse me. Got to stretch. In fact, you know what? Everyone, let's take this opportunity to take a stretching break, right? Yeah, no road, no nothing, but it's a really strong foundation. I agree with the philosophy of kind of finding the layout first and then filling in the details later. I think that makes a lot more sense. Sponsored by Diet 7-Up. It's not true, actually, as you guys might imagine. Ugh. Okay, wait, here we go. Hold on. Oh. Gotta crack my back. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but I certainly felt it. Okay. Is that really bad for my spine? Oh, God. Well, I'll do it slowly then. Thank you, pumpkin cake. I do. It's like, yeah, let me just jerk it as hard as I can to the side in order to get the crack in there. Thanks for the tip. I will be more careful in the future. Whiterun City of Walls. And you know what? As long as we're here, Fortified Whiterun more than City of Walls looks more realistic. I don't even think I've heard of Fortified Whiterun. Let me search for it. Oh, wow. Very cool. Nice, Sacrilegious. That all looks very cool. I like it a lot. Is it, I imagine maybe just the beginning area? Major archway, main gates. The reason that I even know of Whiterun City of Walls, excuse me, is because it has like built-in compatibility patches for that one mod that looked really, really excellent, right? The Whiterun, not capital expansion, but also the Whiterun Valley 3.0 that we looked at like 2 streams ago. Let's see. This is very cool. All right, well, shit. Maybe we can look at both. This is Whiterun City of Walls. The exterior here looks pretty similar. It's a lot of moss. That would probably do with some reducing. Wow, okay. Files. City of Walls. ESL flagged. I mean, that won't matter for us right now. What? Why would I get this one? Working on Fortified Windhelm. Change the bridge. Makes it look like it would fit the Windhelm expansion really well. Very cool. Yeah, actually, Sacrilegious is right. Yes, he's also right about the pain of implementing all these things. Oh, wow. So you need all of these in order to do it? Immersive Whiterun. Provincial cars, sewers of Skyrim. Cool. Open cities. ESL flagged. Dawn of Skyrim. Crazy. So you need all of these. Oh, yawn. I'm sorry. Combining 7 mods with permission from their authors. This is very true, I imagine. Complete overhaul the white. So what else do we need, did it say? Wait, no, dependencies. It's not listed there, unfortunately. Okay, we'll hit this again. Capital Whiterun expansion. Dark's Whiterun Market. Fortified Whiterun. Uh-oh. Well, this might... Oh, so it includes Fortified Whiterun. That's why it looks so similar. JK Skyrim Walls of Sky Whiterun. What is this one, then? My god, this one's going to be kind of nuts. Okay, Whiterun Valley Hold expansion. This was updated not as recently, so it's probably not going to work with 3.0. So I don't know if we're going to be able to demo this quite as easily as I thought. Well, let's give it a shot, okay? Like an earnest college try. And let's see what it looks like. Got, I know Dark's Whiterun, Capital Whiterun expansion. I think some of these already have, so it's going to be pointless to reinstall them. Walls of Whiterun, Whiterun expansion, redone SSE. So this is tricky. I'm going to take a screenshot of these. Pop this bad boy up over in my other window. Bring this back up. Yes, it is a giant Frankenstein's monster. So probably I'm not going to be able to go with this, but let's see what it does just for inspiration's sake. If we can, that is. All right. So I've got Capital Whiterun expansion. Did I already download that? Windhelm expansion? I have not. Okay. There we are. It says I've downloaded it, but maybe that was with one of the Wabbajack lists or something. Oh, this has been updated recently too. This one? This is going to be a lot of work just to demo this thing. I'm second guessing it. This one, though, this mod seems very cool, like, in and of itself. You can see the expansion. Like, the combo of this, really all I wanted to do was combine this with, like, Whiterun Valley. And, you know, as I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about the areas that 3.0 Whiterun Valley adds, and I know it's not going to be compatible with, like, Darks. Because it's the same area. It's right here. So that's going to be a kind of a problem. All right, guys. I think actually, you know what we can do, though? We can look at Capital Whiterun expansion, because I've not looked at that yet. And that can... What is this? Oh, yeah. I know this one. Sacriletius, you know this mod. Imagine this bridge patched with the walls of the Windhelm expansion. Oh, wow. Yes, that... Definitely. I mean, part of me quite likes the Windhelm Bridge. There's something cool about it, but oh my god, that was... Geez, Strawberry Moogle, excuse me. Thank you for the raid. 62 viewers. Holy geez, welcome everybody. That scared the shit out of me. I have my alerts turned on way too loud. Oh my gosh, welcome everybody. How we doing today? We here are... testing some city mods for Skyrim. Hello, hello, hello. This does look incredible. This is it certainly carries the what's the word? The feeling of making the city actually defensible. Hello, Strawberry Moogle. Thank you so much for the raid. How was your stream? How are you doing on this fine Monday? The end of January already. I can't believe that. Okay. Let's try this. Let's get, what did I get? Capital Windhelm expansion. Did I not download it? I did. Whiterun expansion, rather. Ha. Ring. That's a good one. Classic, bro. Classic. Played some Beyond Reach today. Oh, nice. Well, good luck at work. I would really like to play Beyond Reach. I've not gotten to play any of the Beyond Skyrim content yet. I would like to play Bruma. I saw a post in Skyrim mods the other day that was effusive praise for Bruma. And one day, what if we have all of the different provinces explorable, right? Okay, so we got this. And is it worth jamming? What is like the specifics of the walls of Whiterun? This is not Whiterun City of Walls, of course. Let's check these images. Yeah, maybe one day. Maybe it'd be more achievable with Elder Scrolls 6. I don't know. My whole issue, I just really want to have everything in a large world space. I suppose it doesn't really matter. Like you could always, you know, kind of segment off the different provinces and different world spaces without too much trouble, I'd say. You just need like a loading door in there somewhere, maybe create like a, you know. Yeah, I was thinking that too, Pumpkin. It doesn't, the lighting, I mean, it's beautiful, but it's a bit dark. But that havoc physics bug, right? Oh, these are interesting. That prevents you from having world spaces of a certain size. It's just a big old bummer. I really wish that we could get that. And then that would also, of course, allow you to scale up the different provinces if you liked. I wonder how far you could push that. Like, it's an interesting thought for sure. Well, let's see here. This is not exactly my cup of tea, I don't think. Or like maybe. This is interesting. I wonder if this is a ramp for like siege things, but it's too small up at the top. I wonder why this instead of stairs. Huh. Okay, well it looks like this is kind of occupying the same space as Fortified Whiterun. So what if we do this? I doubt these will be compatible with each other, but exterior compatibility, less stuff outside the wall. That's okay. Let's try it. Let's just break the game, shall we? Oops. See, walls, SMIM. We got Capital Whiterun expansion, and I'm going to get Fortified Whiterun. Jam it in there. Because this looks very cool. No Yorvasker Watchtower. Do consoles need to go in order to achieve full creativity in games? That's a hot take. Do you mean like do consoles need to no longer exist? I think that it's difficult. It's crazy to me that modding actually exists in any way, shape, or form on consoles. The fact that they managed to do that is pretty cool. Oh my god. Sorry. The problem is, of course, that you could never get too in-depth, I don't think. Not unless you had, like, mod packs. I also don't think that, realistically, consoles are going anywhere. I think that they're still pretty freaking profitable. There's definite appeal for the plug-and-play nature of, you know, consoles. Just as long as the game is marketed for every platform. It's, I mean, I just don't think that PC is ever going to replace consoles entirely. They do serve different kind of subsets. Okay, this is Capital Whiterun expansion. Let's let that go at the bottom. That is true. Pumpkin, I would agree with that. Let's put this here. Not like it matters anyway, because nothing's overriding. Okay. You can turn these off. Let's launch. Let's see what it looks like. Flower Field's a part of my mod list. It is not. I don't know if I've heard of that before. I'll give it a quick look-see. Flower Fields SSE. What is this business? Oh, wow. This is a grass mod? That's quite beautiful. I'm pretty keen on the current grass mods that I have running. I don't know if this is... Oh, I know this author, though. Oh wait, no. This is all. Wait, what? Phenom Faz MFQ. Oh, maybe it's like a co-author. I know Phenom. I don't know this person. Pretty wild. Yes, it is technically playable on other headsets, but I'd say that the Index is the best experience. Like, it's a tangible difference. Goes with grass mods, huh? I'm sure that you can make it compatible. A lot of this is very... I can't really get a super great sense of it with the depth of field. These images are... They kind of look like 2D sprites a bit. And I've tried to move away from that a bit more, or if I keep it, then it's kind of, you know, like grass blades like this, right? Like, that's okay. I feel like with something like a flower does occupy 3D space more noticeably, I guess you might say. So I think it's a bit harder to get away with this kind of flat 2D sprites, but it is a nice effect. It reminds me of Oblivion. I also just question if these flowers can survive in Skyrim's tundra, at least in, you know, like Whiterun, that area. Patch for fortified Whiterun to work with the capital city. Oh, boom. Thank you, Thorin. On it. Capital Whiterun. Oh, I didn't even know that there was this patch thing. This is awesome. Whiterun complete. Whoa, fortified Whiterun. There we go. No JKs, huh? Poor JKs. Or wait. There's default one? Yes, okay, it comes with the JK's patch. I understand. Our beautiful roadmap once again. Did it download? Where's it gone? Oh. There we go. System strains to play Ellie at 60 FPS. Oh, yeah, most definitely. I would not upgrade. Yeah, you can get old hardware if you're trying to save money, because honestly, like, the prices go down so readily. And for Ellie, I mean, especially wait for special edition, because at least that can reasonably take advantage of new hardware, whereas Legendary Edition is a bit bottlenecked. Good luck, Taz. I hope it goes well. That's fine. Capital Whiterun expansion, city overhaul patches. What are we missing here? Whiterun defenses without interior watchtower. Oh, it needs specifically the other version that we did not get. Okay. We can fix that. No. Fortified Whiterun. Did I close it already? Did I use one of these? I did. Here we are. Yes, Sacrilegious. Totally agreed. Completely agreed, my friend. Oh my god. My spine is all donked. This one. My graphics card is not that old. My current graphics card is a 1080. I did get a new one, though. I'm going to sell this current build that I'm running with right now to a good friend. And I'm going to build a new PC as soon as my new processor arrives. That was like my big expenditure for last year. And I hope that happens soon, but I need to call the people I purchased it from, because it was supposed to ship on the 22nd, and I've not heard anything from them, so that doesn't exactly bode well. Okay, there we go. This here, perfect. All right, everyone, let's see what happens. Time to launch. I got a 3080 and the 5900. Those were the two that I wanted, and I just kind of, you know, just kept waiting for it. And eventually managed to get it. Excuse me. Oh. God, I wish. Do you guys like taking naps? That's something I've never asked. I've never been a nap person. Sometimes I just feel like every time I take a nap, I wake up feeling either like I wasted my day or like I sleep way too much. And then my sleep schedule gets all messed up. Eek's Immersive Whiterun, JK's Whiterun version better than JK's, includes both EEKs and JKs. Interesting, Fippity Flip. Let me write that down because I've not looked at it. So many options. I call this EEK's Whiterun. Why is it so hard to say? Took a great nap today. Man, I mean, people who take naps swear by them, that's for sure. Maybe sometimes I've done it right and enjoyed it, but most of the time, I mean, I don't take them anymore. I just feel like I needed one today. Yes, Sacrilegious, it's totally true. Capital City Whiterun, is that the one that we're looking at right now, or that's a different one? Yeah, that's my issue too, Pumpkin Cake. I'm actually quite interested in the science of sleep. Liz, my wife Liz, well, her boss, I guess technically, but they recommended a book to me called Why We Sleep that is really cool. I didn't finish reading it, but I read, say, like a third of it. I should probably revisit it. It's very interesting. Gotcha. Thanks, Thorin. Very interesting learning about why we sleep because it's kind of like an esoteric area of study. It's an biological process, I guess you'd call it, for lack of a better term, that we know comparatively little about. It's just very interesting. It's tough to study, I think, for a couple different reasons. Dwemer Armor, lore-wise, it should be one of the strongest. It's true plot. And also, you know, isn't it weird that, I mean, I was talking with the team about this. I'd like to address it in future versions. Hello, Dengear. Oh, I think I'm in Falkreath. Is this, yeah, Nari? I am in Falkreath. Bye, Tayson. Thanks for hanging out. It's so weird that you can only, like, so I melt down steel, right? But I can only make steel armor that looks exactly like this standard steel armor, and everyone you see is wearing the exact same type of steel armor. Like, you can make so many different styles. Like, if I'm able to melt down dwarven metal, right? Why is it that every dwarven armor that I create looks exactly like the ones that the Dwemer made? It doesn't really make sense. Whiterun, exterior 01. Didn't fully fall asleep. Gotcha. Yeah, it's like if you get that deep REM sleep, I feel like it can be very disorienting. Or I find that it's like oh my gosh. Thank you so much for the sub, Pensive Owl. Much appreciated, my friend. Reduce or eliminate blue light from screens in evening. Nights you'll sleep sooner and better. I typically have no problem falling asleep. Also, I really like this night sky. The default night sky. I like it more than kind of the ones that come with a lot of the different. Oh, you know what? Why does this look so different from the one that is on the full version? I need to find it. Because that looks way better to me. Oh, yeah? Alright, let's go see. Let's see these. Wow, big ol' walls. Yes, Thorin, exactly that. I mean, that's much more realistic, right? Being able to use materials to create items in a different style. Look at this biz. No more using the shortcut, that's for sure. Battlements here. Very cool. Oh, interesting. Oh. Differences are cosmetic. Yeah. It would be. I mean, if the design of the armor would necessitate some sort of mechanical difference, it would be cool if that existed. I mean, otherwise it's almost just wow, this is cool. Like, oh look, dice. I like that a lot. Great little... Ooh, holy shit, look at this. Oh, I am digging this for sure. Oh, it's functional too, I would assume. Do I have a... I don't. Hold on. Hold up just a moment. Whoops, why am I in caps? Wait. There we go. Let's go. Oh, look, it even has its own variety of longbow. I wonder why. Let's go, 0402 84821, and then help arrow for ammo. Oops. 105. Ay. EE710. I have God mode. Hey Osana, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. Rocks look interesting. They probably should have been hewn. I mean, I would. Those are the kind of thing that I would remove for sure. Look at that function. I think. Was that weird to anyone else? Oh, it is. Oh, it's hitting so hard that it's bouncing back. Look at this. Wow. Also, vanilla bow sounds are actually way better than I remember. I actually think I might prefer that. Right? No machicolations, though. Oh, man. Unfortunate. Is that like where you can stand out over it and like shoot kind of like down Sacroletius? Look at this. Beautiful. Also, listen to this. I really like that sound. I mean, I like the ones that are in what's it called too? Immersive sounds, but I do not remember liking these sounds that much. Gotcha. How do I get up there? Guess not from here. Maybe up here? Hello. Do I have real names? I must. Unless this is like a named guard manually added. Nope. Imperial Soldier must be on. Yeah, I watched Shadiversity because of Sacroletius. I'd never heard of it before. Heard of him before? Oh. Interesting. I like these doors. I can't climb up this, can I? Oh, I can. Sort of. Just gotta jump. Alright, I'll take it. I don't know if an NPC can, though. I think it would have to be like an activatable, right? I'm gonna sneeze. Whoa, that's disorienting. Can't open that door. This is a little too visibly riften for my tastes, but that's not a big deal. Vader's just run up and hug the wall. Gotcha. Yeah, it makes sense. Why can't I jump over that? I can't jump over that. That's strange to me because this is still the exterior world space. Oh well. Hoi. Alright, cool. I dig it. So the difficulty here might be trying to expand into Whiterun Valley 3.0 because it obviously adds that whole other district over there, right? Smart, I can't come in with my horse from the north and hop the wall. Of course not, Ring. This is not with Open Cities, Aosana. This is a completely or near vanilla profile that we are just kind of testing. This is Capital Whiterun expansion. I don't want to hear it. Tired of hearing it. Adrienne, you can stick around, but you're on notice. Can I go through here? Oh, there's a waterworks. Interesting. I didn't kill him. I deleted him from existence. Huh. Okay, cool. connects with Whiterun sewers, I'm sure. I think I saw a patch. Hello. What are you doing?
Go away. You get nothing from me.
I think that's vanilla voice lines.
You want to rethink what you're asking. Tell you what, if you need any stolen goods fenced, you bring them to me, and I'll pay you good money for them.
Is it? If not, it sounds vanilla, like the vanilla voice actor.
It's easy to find things to sell. Things nobody will miss. Things from underground, or just left lying around in someone's house.
If that's not the vanilla voice actor, it is an extremely close approximation. Yeah, I know. This fence really ought to be a bit more careful about who he does business with. Okay. I do like that there are random fences that are not in the Thieves Guild. That's why I personally added Outlaw Refuge, just because I think that there should be like an option for people who don't necessarily want to join the Thieves Guild. You know what I mean? So this is all new. I still think there should be an advantage if you are in the Thieves Guild and are dealing with a Thieves Guild fence. Thankfully, we have that in the form of trade and barter, which gives you better prices if you are interacting with people or like selling to people who are in your faction. So I like that. So it's more beneficial to... Let's check interiors. Interiors are always tough for people. Yeah, does that make sense? Hello? Okay, sorry. There's some interesting blue fire you've got going there. Furry Joe Biden. It's very kind of you to say. Also, excellent username. Blue Sky Holly Pass is a player home. Oh, cool. It's beautiful. You know what? Now that you mention it, I do remember them mentioning that there was an additional player home. Very cool. Also, Sacriletius, I definitely feel you on Clef J's. Some of Clef J's stuff I really like, and other bits I'm like, this is really not for me, largely because of stuff like that. Also, yes, other token, inconsequential NPCs, excuse me, is part of the current build, as it were. Look at this. Also, is my field of view set to 100? It is not. No wonder I was getting sick. Very cool. I mean, I always talk about this. Interior lighting is something I think that is a little tricky for a lot of mod authors, and based on the 2 interiors I'm seeing now, I would like to say that this is very solid. Looks very good. Look at that thing. DLC 2 Staff Enchanter. Not a fan of random player homes and city overhauls. If you can purchase them, and they're, you know, integrated into the game instead of just kind of being given to you for free, then I'm generally on board. It's kind of just like an additional place for you to buy. Off-putting to be surrounded by mannequins. Yeah, I've never really been into that kind of thing either. Luckily, that is very easy to fix. Quote-unquote fix. Change, because it's not broken. It's working as intended, I'm sure. So the combo, God, look at this. Beautiful. Right? Let's try it. Set game hour to 10. There we are. Can I go through this door, perhaps? I cannot. Balian, what is up, dude? Thank you for popping in. Oh, God. Stuck on a little fence, as one does, of course. Oh, my God, thank you for the host. I don't know why it didn't play for me. 98 viewers, my gosh. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Right now, we are just given a little tour of Capital Whiterun expansion just to check it out because I'd never done it before. Looks very, very cool. Braith? You're gone. You're in timeout. Leave him alone. Very exclusive Living Skyrim. Nice. How are you finding it? I've still not gotten a chance to play it, but it's installed. It's sitting on my computer, just kind of waiting. Are there any other additions to... There's that Riften watchtower up there again. Trying to see if there's anything else going on here that I'm not aware of. Nice. The leveled list merging, it, like, in what sense? Because I know that there's some crazy new technology that Total was telling me about, where essentially they've built out, like, these leveled lists that you can, say, stick a bunch of different weapons. Ooh, what is this business? Whoa. So there's, like, a whole other district on the other side of the city that I didn't even know about. How about this? Yeah, I bet you that's exactly what it was. So is it where, so you essentially have a leveled list for like say iron swords. In any instance where the game might generate an iron sword, take a weapon from any one of these, right? It's I don't remember what it's called, but it's really cool technology. Total was telling me about it the other day. Thanks for joining us, Sir Smithers. Sorry. Oh, we got a nice little... Oh, you can purchase horses, perhaps? From Jocelyn? You know, I really haven't. I'm a brand new character. Level 1. But thank you for assuming the best of me. I won't delete you from existence. I have not tried synthesis yet, Aosana, but I've been looking into it a lot more. Because there's some stuff that I'd like to do that I think will be a lot more doable in a much more reasonable time frame using the synthesis patchers. This is compatible with EEK's immersive Whiterun. Gotcha. Okay, this is Capital Whiterun expansion, Monique. Also, great to see you. You tried the new first-person animations replacer mod. I have not tried them yet. Is that the one that was inspired by Vermintide that was posted like last week? Because I thought it looked amazing. I commented on the post. Oh, that's not Open Cities. Yeah, I thought it looked fantastic. And I commented on the post asking some questions. I think that person got just completely swamped with questions and people very excited about how good it all looked. So I'm not surprised at all that I have not received a reply. But I do plan on checking it out. So that was all very cool. Was really excited about it until I realized, yeah, it doesn't have two-handed yet, right? I mean, animated armory was originally my plan. It's still kind of on the table. It's a question of how it feels, I think. I would be, based on what I saw from that mod, I would be pretty stoked if that author did decide to try to tackle some of the two-hander animations, right? To make it feel good. Animated armory, I would probably still include, at least for spears, things like that. You can also disable those wooden roads. Yes, the wooden roads, they're generally not my style. If you remember from the last stream, I'm gonna turn my music back on too. Where is it at? Here we are. Oh, I made this way too loud. But of course, that is like the simplest change, right? And that was all very impressive. I think that, again, I've said this a million times before in other streams. To me, the thing that matters most in these kind of location expansions is the sensibility of how they're built. And as far as I can tell, these definitely met all the check boxes. I think my ideal situation might be a merge of this and Capital Whiterun, and then also the new Whiterun Valley looks beautiful. And let's take a look at this EEK's Whiterun. Beautiful Whiterun. Interiors. This is it, I'm assuming. It's so funny to me that people... I mean, I think that most people play in third person. And I've really tried to incorporate that in the SSE version. Like, I've spent a lot of time messing around with the third person camera to make it good as possible. Immersive, not beautiful. Gotcha. There's wow, okay. Because I really want, I know that a lot of people play in third person, and I want them to feel comfortable with our camera systems. But I've always been a first person, for lack of a better term. Two-handed weapons are, oh, cool. Very cool. That is great to hear. Thanks for joining us, Rust. How do you remove the wood floor? Oh, that's as simple, really, as just disabling the objects, the same way I was disabling the people. But you do it from the back end, so it's done from the beginning. Yes, Aosana, please feel free. Big thing, what Capital Whiterun Expanded also adds a bunch of quests too. Really? That's wild. JK's Whiterun version. Sorry for caps. Oh, no, of course. Is that a separate mod page, or is it here in the files? Oh, right there. Looks like I've downloaded this perhaps when I downloaded some of the other Wabbajack lists before. Thank you for the host, Keteris Meow. First person here. Shepard, how you doing? Oh, I've only played third person. First person makes her sick. I think that's common. I'm just so used to it. It's weird to, do it any other way. For me, it was kind of messing around with the camera was about finding a balance of functionality and we'll call it cinematography. For example, I find that I really like using the bow with an over-the-shoulder camera, which necessitates two things. It necessitates the aim fix, where you are not for me, from a usability perspective, the crosshair needs to accurately show where your arrows are going to go, and that includes targets that are close to you. That's where Skyrim's kind of hit detection gets a little bit weird. So without the aim fix, which is really cool, by the way, I highly recommend it, it becomes very difficult for the game to accurately portray where you're aiming. So if something's very close to you, the crosshair in third person will show that you're aiming right here, but actually you're aiming over here, if that makes sense. So you need that. And then, unfortunately, you really can't fix that for melee. It's a lot more finicky. So as I currently have it set up, the third person camera is over the shoulder for ranged attacks, and it's directly overhead for melee, so that, again, the crosshair is always showing where your attacks are going to land. I'm going to take a seat here. Because that's very important to me, right? Old Sky does not include Legacy of the Dragonborn, to be very clear. Not as of now. It's something I would very much like to add at some point. But the first early access version most assuredly will not contain it, and it will be a future inclusion in other versions for sure. Let's see what we got here. Oh, I see aspen trees and stuff. I mean, I know that this is the immersive one, but it still looks quite beautiful, does it not? Evil-Eyed Kyo is EEK. Okay. I mean, I can see JK's in here for sure. That looks like a player home. What is the description here? Thank you, Aosana. Disable the wood roads. There's a dagger next to the black. Oh, so it's built in. Interesting. JK's version, not Skyrim version. Need the asset pack too. You'll have the interiors of shops. Add Ultimate Skyrim. Overrun by druids trying to reclaim it. Yeah, so that is kind of a concern for me. And this is the kind of thing that's quite easy to fix. But this abundance of flora, we'll call it, right? It does look very beautiful. I think inarguably that looks beautiful. Look at it. Mwah. Love it. But the art style is also very different. I'm more interested in, what are these stone textures? That is some beautiful stuff right there. Do they say? Beta, when did this come out? Almost a year ago. Dun 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 dun. Huh. Overview videos, Whiterun City, Whiterun Interiors. So again, it is very beautiful. I do wonder if it's exactly the style that I'm going for. So even JK stuff sometimes for me gets a bit over beautified, we might say. A bit too high fantasy versus low fantasy is a way that I'd like to say it, because it's all beautiful. You know, there's so much detail poured into this stuff. But a lot of the time I find that I prefer almost like a grittier kind of low fantasy look, and kind of manually go through and disable a lot of things like moss and stuff like that. Ash Cloud Phoenix, thank you for joining us. Oh yeah, Monique, I think everyone's had that experience. You no longer concerned about being able to play as a non-Dragonborn. You're leaving that decision to the player. Just not do the quest. They're not. I mean, it is a concern for me for sure, Ring. There is so when I went through the Legacy of the Dragonborn content, I was specifically on the lookout for stuff that would be weird, right? If you weren't Dragonborn. And I think it's not quite as bad as we might assume. There are some quests. I think that surprisingly, at least this was my experience, the Legacy of the Dragonborn, like Dragonborn quests were more compartmentalized than I had guessed. In which case, I think it might not be all that difficult to, if you are playing a non-Dragonborn character, kind of selectively disable certain quests. But, you know, it would definitely be something that I would still consider. Like how each vanilla place has its own beautiful flora. Aspen should say in the... Yes, I tend to agree, Pumpkin Cake. It's not as if someone can't plant an aspen, of course, right? But you could argue, and I'm not a rocket biologist. I'm not a treeman, you might say. So maybe someone knows whether or not aspens could grow in the tundra environment that is more of what Whiterun is versus, you know, the Rift with all the aspens there. But I do generally like having every area of the world feel distinct, and I think that flora are a very good way to do that. And I try to be very careful with cross-pollination, you might say. To make a popular mod, coat literally everything in an absurd layer of eye-eating trees. Thank you for joining us, Toby Does. I need an eye appointment myself. Yes, I like the Nordic Viking inspired. Yes, I would say, Ring, that Skyrim is more high fantasy than low fantasy by default, but whatever kind of gritty low fantasy elements it has, I tend to kind of lean into if I can. She mods overwrite those trees. Dun, 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 dun. Right here in Colorado. I mean, that's fair. I would say that Colorado is pretty similar to Whiterun, at least visually. It's not a tundra, but arguably Whiterun is almost not a tundra, perhaps. But again, I'm not a treeologist. It's going great, Cyanide. Right now, I was just kind of demoing. Earlier, we went through like a little timeline, our Comic Sans roadmap to early access timeline. These are kind of just the stuff that I have to do. And yes, an arbologist, a rocket arbologist. So I went through that, and then we were kind of testing some of these settlement mods, because in the future, a big desire of mine, a big focus that I would like to to implement is an expansion of the major cities. It's something I've wanted to do for a very long time, and there's one of the coolest things about moving to SSE is that there is such a wealth of stuff to look at and to potentially implement. It's like sky's the limit. And so I've just been kind of systematically going through and looking at the available options. And we were kind of just doing more of that today on stream, because I think it makes for more engaging kind of visual content than my editing, if you will. Purple, yes. In a manner of speaking, Alt Sky does have a photo mode thanks to customizable camera. There is a view mode key that will be mapped and included as part of the official kind of, control scheme. That it's essentially a toggle-free camera button, right? So if you're familiar with the toggle-free camera function in the console, then you will know how the button works. But it's really nice. It does allow you to get some cool screenshots, I find. Excuse me. Might run in the middle of nowhere. It's windy as hell. Yes, that is very true, Monique. And that's the kind of stuff I really like to look at, you know? It's Morthal in US, meant to be frosty and starkly bright. You need to regen the cells somehow. If you're talking about Classic doesn't really have that much seasonal differentiation. To be honest, like, most of the mods for Skyrim, whether they be weather or lighting or whatever, don't do a whole lot when it comes to seasonal differentiation. So chances are what you're seeing is what it's supposed to be. I do know that Cathedral Weathers tries to bring some seasonality, if I'm not mistaken. So we might see more of that in Special Edition, because that's what I'm currently using. That's the plan. Excuse me. Where's my... I'm speaking a lot. I gotta stay hydrated. What I would like to one day do is introduce like actual seasonality. I don't think it would be that hard. Famous last words, of course. But just stuff like, you know, adjusting leaves, the color of leaves. You know what would be difficult is making like winter versions of trees replace the other trees. That might be a bit tougher. Maybe not. I don't know. That's more advanced than anything I was thinking, though, because changing textures, that's easy. Just kind of you just take the texture, open it up in like paint.net, change the color, and then plop it back in there. And then, of course, you'd have to have some sort of means of referencing it and swapping it out with the existing textures, but I don't imagine that's difficult. Holds. Some people keep asking me about holds lately, and holds is really cool. Holds is actually one of the mods that I like very, very thoroughly vetted when we first moved to Special Edition, just because I wanted to see. I went through and checked, if not every single settlement holds adds, almost every single one. I did that because, again, I was kind of seeing what the options were for expanding some of the settlements, right? Holds has a lot of really cool stuff for that. So I would really like to, like, Holds was going to be a staple of Solitude for me. Like, I was going to kind of lean on it to expand Solitude a bit. I still plan to do that. I was also thinking about using it for Windhelm, but now some of the other stuff that's coming out for Windhelm, I'm not as sure. But Holds has some really cool stuff. I did also really like Holds Winterhold Thorin. It's the thing about holds is that in some cases it's tough to do. Winterhold's not as bad because it's still in the Skyrim world space, but I have a lot of different mods running that would need patching, some pretty significant patching. Primarily, I'm thinking of the various NPC and population mods and the mods that I have running to kind of fill out the living world, so to speak. Cities of the North is another one that I have looked at a bunch that I would like to kind of mash in alongside other stuff. Yeah, so a lot of the population mods and the kind of the living world type things need a bit of attention when it comes to holds, because generally speaking, their AI packages rely on markers and location keywording, and a lot of that stuff can get a bit hanky. So you end up with a lot of things like, you'll go into a tavern and characters will all be like bunched into a corner because they don't have idle markers, enough idle markers, stuff like that. But it's really, I like to say that the early access release of Special Edition Ultimate Skyrim is kind of the beginning for me. I have no plans to stop working on this project. If anything, I have lots of plans to continue working on the project, and there's just a lot of stuff that I would like to do that I think will really, I think that already with the mods that are jammed in there, we have kind of an experience here. I mean, you could say this about, any of the mod lists, I'm sure, but I've really tried to make, the reason I'm passionate about Ultimate Skyrim and the reason why I've stuck with it for so long is because I think we have a real opportunity here to create a game experience that doesn't really exist elsewhere, right? Like a level of depth and interwoven system set in a beautifully realized and detailed and interactive 3D world with a sheer amount of content that is just frankly unrealistic to expect unless you have something like the Skyrim modding community, right? Where there are just thousands of talented modders all working in tandem to pump their own content into the game. That is what allows, in my mind, for this level of content and depth and interactivity and just stuff to do, for lack of better phrasing. The default button to turn off ENB is Shift F12, I believe. Excuse me. Also, there's some questions here that I missed. We're in the questions phase of the stream, I can tell, which is secretly my favorite one. I say this every time, but these streams are most valuable to me as a means to connect with you guys. So I like to try and make sure I get, as many questions as possible. This is finally released. Will you be releasing in-depth video guides on how to download and set up all the mods? Yes, Fourth Dimension, but hopefully with the combo of the MCM automation and our new launcher that we are working on, hopefully it will be as straightforward as possible. I said this earlier in the stream, and I say it all the time. I'm trying my hardest, and so is the rest of the team. We're trying our hardest to make the install and just the configuration as simple as possible, as close to a standard game as you can get, which of course means that one-click play and go, like it just works, if you will, is what we're going for, so that there will not be a bunch of configuration to get through. You won't have to deal with a bunch of confusing settings, and hopefully anyone who will be able to install it regardless of whether they've modded before is kind of the end goal. So trust that it is arguably the most important focus. Let's see, are you going to use the Second Great War? That is, it's tough to say. Toby does, because from what I understand, the Second Great War does some really cool stuff. I plan on going back and expanding the Civil War again, re-expanding the Civil War, if you will. It's now a question, of course, of do we use open Civil War? Do we use the new, reborn version of Civil War Overhaul? Do we use some combination of both? It was going to be open Civil War for a very long time. One, because that mod does seem to have a lot of good reviews. I've never used it myself, so I can't say definitively. I've not gotten to testing it. But now that, what's it called? Civil War Overhaul is back on the scene. That might change. And in reference to the Second Great War, I don't really know compatibility between that mod and some of the Civil War overhauls themselves, so I'll have to evaluate it. Zampander, the mod list for SE is not out yet, but you know what? Give me a second here. I really need to update my bot with this paste bin. What the hell? Apparently hitting history opens up a weird little tab. So I'm going to post this in the chat. This is not entirely up to date, this mod list, but it does contain, I would say, a pretty near final list of mods that I currently have running on the SE build. So right then and there. Have I thought about Skyrim Extended Cut? Yes, I have. The quest mods are always tricky because they are tremendously hard to. So one of my big focuses for Ultimate Skyrim is integrating content so that it feels as seamless as possible with the vanilla content, right? That's kind of like the standard that we go for, and that's really hard to do with quest mods. But I have seen the information on what is it called? Extended Cut. It looks very promising. I love the prospect, of course, of more choice and consequence in the quest structure. You know, I don't think anyone likes being railroaded into decisions that don't really make sense. I think that Extended Cut purports to add a lot more reactivity and what you might call less stark choice making, perhaps, which I'm all for. It's just a question of will they be able to do that, because it is extremely difficult. So I'm just kind of waiting and seeing, I guess. Thanks for joining us, Taz, if you're still here. Sorry it takes me forever to get through this stuff. Dragon's Reach is well done. EK's Interior is also available as a standalone. Civil War is really tough. The Civil, my theory, I doubt this is original by any means, but the Civil War is one of the most scaled back elements of the vanilla game. There are so many breadcrumbs in the game files that allude to the fact that they wanted to do so much more with the Civil War and just didn't have the bandwidth to do it. So that, to me, is a strong potential explanation for why there are so many bugs with the original Civil War and why it's so kind of, boring and railroady and one-dimensional. I think that it's almost like a universal experience for people who are Skyrim fans to be disappointed when running back through, when you pick one side of the Civil War, you play through it, and then you go, all right, now I want to do the other one, and you do it, and it's just like identical practically. It's really a disappointment, and I wonder if they didn't have to do that towards the end of development and try to, kind of patch over the holes, so to speak. They're integrating all of the Dragonborn DLC to ask Mirak for his help. I got chills at that. I did not know that. That is very, very cool. How easily will we be able to alter the mod list? So the one of the goals of the new launcher is to make the process much easier for general users, but to also provide tools for power users who would like to, configure their own installation on top of Ultimate Skyrim. The way that it currently works, or is currently planned to work, but really, it's I'm pretty sure it's like implemented already, is we have in the launcher options, you can open up Mod Organizer 2 the same way that you can manually. And if you want to, we were talking about, I'm pretty sure, Ring, if you're still in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to speak for features that are not here yet, but I do believe that Ring already has a strong handle on adding custom profiles automatically to our launcher. And that is really nice because basically we have drop downs for performance, we'll say, like you choose from like high quality, medium quality, low quality, but that drop down should update automatically with whatever custom profiles you choose to add on the back end in Mod Organizer 2. So you can go in, you can adjust, your installation to your liking the same way you always could. And if you add a new profile for those adjustments, it should show up in the launcher as well. The disclaimer there, of course, is that when it comes to quote-unquote official support, we generally we just can't support customized installations, right? So we basically say, hey, here's a bunch of tools that you can use to dig back into your install. Just understand that you're essentially voiding your warranty at that point, if that makes sense. Did you manage to fix cold region behavior where all NPC are using hoods? Why not wet and cold? Disable some things. Cold region, when all NPC are using hoods, I'm not aware of the exact problem that you're referring to, Bambi. Is it that all of the NPCs are wearing hoods when they shouldn't? Because I don't think I've experience that myself. What rules are we citing here? I'm telling you guys, my stream, like bots and everything, I'm very much not a streamer first and foremost thus far. So there's a lot of work that I need to do to update the chat commands and things like that. Why do you choose AI overhaul over immersive citizens? It's the first reason, and the main reason is that AI overhaul is just a bit more compatible with other mods I've found. I think its changes just are not quite as stark as what I have heard the changes in immersive citizens are. The full disclaimer is that I have not really dug into immersive citizens myself. It's just one of those things where, you know, what I heard about immersive citizens level of compatibility and the extensiveness of some of its like unique edits to NPCs. I heard that it can cause problems that I just kind of wanted to avoid, and AI overhaul is built really well behind the scenes. I've worked with it for a pretty long time now at this point with no issues at all. It does a really good job at what it aims to do. And the second reason is that I know that the immersive citizens author, I believe his name is Shura, is not always comfortable with people patching over his work. And I mean, a huge portion of what Ultimate Skyrim does is patching, right? It's in many ways, it's the biggest feature of Ultimate Skyrim is the way that it patches all of these mods to kind of operate seamlessly with each other. And I just wasn't super sure if that was something they would be comfortable with, so I kind of just avoided it entirely. And I've not to this day heard like a super compelling argument to use immersive citizens over AI overhaul. I'm not saying that there isn't arguments, of course. I've just not heard any. If you have one, I'd be happy to hear it. But that's generally my take. What is your approach to all the player home mods that are out there? So I really like player homes. Like anything else that goes into the install, they need to pass what you might call like an immersion check, immersion standard. So a lot of player homes I find are kind of crazy beautified in the same way that some of the mods that we were looking at are. I like when player homes feel like a contiguous part of the world, and another element of that is how you acquire them. Generally speaking, I don't trend towards player homes that give you anything for free. I like it when players have to earn the home the same way. It's a matter of consistency, right? If you have to purchase all these other homes, or in the case of Ultimate Skyrim, where not in the first early access build, but in the future, when there's like a 99% chance that I will be bringing back kind of the build your own home anywhere type features. With those homes, you have to expend resources in order to build your homes, like out in the wilderness or whatever. So the homes, you can't just get them. You can't just get a bunch of free stuff from within them. All of that is kind of an issue to me. And if a player home meets all those criteria, typically speaking, I'm happy to add it in. Also, it's how it affects the environment that it's in, right? Like, if like the player homes that I like the most are the ones that are kind of nestled into existing locations versus adding like entirely new locations within the world space that might interrupt the feel of wilderness. That's another thing that we talk about a lot is you have to be very careful with sticking settlements or things of that nature into the wilderness of Skyrim, because it's not that large of a world when it comes down to it, and it's very easy to lose that kind of outside of town in the wilderness feel that I really like to maintain if possible. Immersive Citizens adds a ton of small immersive details, so small I couldn't tell you whether I have the mod installed or not, especially when you add a ton of city expansions and NPC mods. Huh. Well, I mean, that, for whatever it's worth, that has always been, I feel, the dichotomy between AI overhaul and immersive citizens, right? And that's that Immersive Citizens is a bit more detailed, whereas AI Overhaul is a bit less complicated and more compatible. Yes, Clockwork Castle is a great example of a player home that I would love to add and have full-on plans to add. We ran through that sort of briefly. There's like a whole quest and like a mystery to solve it and whatever, right? If anything, the issue there was that some of the enemies that you might face during the course of that quest would be pretty difficult from a Requiem perspective. Wayward Stroge, thank you for the sub, my friend. Great to see you. That's something that Requiem has a problem with a lot when you try to integrate other mods, and specifically what I mean is the changes to the vanilla enemy types are so stark in Requiem that mods just, making use of the enemy types that are there in the vanilla game sometimes run into problems when those enemies are rectified, as we like to say. A perfect example of this is the very excellent Helgen Reborn quest mod, which it's so good that I would really like to find a way around some of these issues in the future. But the famous example is that that mod has you tackling vampires as like the third or fourth quest in its quest line, and vampires are like endgame enemies in Requiem. So the implication that you and the whole like premise of the quest is that you are like testing the veracity of the new guards that you're thinking of hiring to rebuild Helgen, and it's like neither you nor these whelps essentially would be able to even sneeze at these vampires, so it just kind of breaks down in that way. So sometimes quest mods have that issue, but I don't know. Sometimes there's workarounds and other times not. All of it takes effort, and the entire project, like any project, is balancing how much value a feature adds with the implementation difficulty, right? Thorin, you might be happy to hear that LC Build Your Own Noble House is another one that I evaluated very closely. This was in what you might call the lead up to Special Edition. This was like the months that I was kind of working on it in secret, just kind of seeing these different things that I thought were intriguing and evaluating whether or not they'd be a good fit. I fell in love with LC Build Your Own Noble House. I thought it was incredible. It hit almost every single one of those notes that I mentioned before, those kind of like standards, quote unquote. So I have very strong plans to include that one. Monique, AI Overhaul freaks me out. First time I saw Alvor casually shopping in Whiterun, I thought something must have gone horribly wrong. It's true. I mean, a lot of the time in AI Overhaul, NPCs will get days off, and it can be very alarming and confusing when you see an NPC that you're just so used to never leaving their post, right? Like Alvor the smith, he's just always at the blacksmith shop, right? Like you can go there and expect to see him, and not always is that the case in AI Overhaul, which I kind of like. And Monique, if you wouldn't mind, because you seem relatively well versed in the differences between AI Overhaul and Immersive Citizens, if you want to shoot me a message on Discord or on Reddit, or I guess even Twitch, but I prefer one of the other ones, about your take on the two, I'd be happy to hear it. Of course, no obligation. I don't want to obligate you or speak for your time or anything like that. Someone asked me about Obscures. I missed it. I saw it and I missed it. I see it. I hear you, Fippity Flip. That is interesting. Ultimate College of Winterhold. Because I'm a big fan. So Granty Boy is the author of Immersive College of Winterhold, and Obscure is the author of Obscure's College of Winterhold. I'm going to check for this. Ultimate College of Winterhold. One of the primary reasons why I moved to Obscures for Special Edition was that Granty Boy, I think, had not updated Immersive College of Winterhold in a while. It kind of seemed like he was, leaving it where it was, and he was working on, I believe, a Dawn Guard expansion at the time. Both are really wonderful. I'd be very interested to see what this tries to do, because I gotta admit, I haven't spent a ton of time with it, but I really do like obscures. So we'll see. Okay, I like this philosophy. After what turned out to be an insanely frustrating development period, I do not doubt it. When was this released? Very recently. Like within this week. There's a mod that fixes some issues with LC Noble House. Ooh, I mean, it should be Thorin. It really depends on exactly what's in it. But what is the mod? Because if it fixes issues, then we might make it part of the official build. Also, I feel you, plot. I think we decided on that at the time. But you know what? Let me... Here, I'm going to copy... that we do, if that makes sense. Is there an ETA on when this is available on SSE? Yes, so of sorts, and I want to be very, very clear that this is touch and go. It is an estimate at best. Just today, I updated our roadmap with this beautiful orange Comic Sans. These are kind of the hard points that I need to resolve in order to launch the first. It would be like 0.1.0. It is full-on early access. I am opening up and releasing the early access version in the interest of basically allowing all of you guys to get your hands on it earlier than later, and so that we can get a lot more bugs reported, a lot more playtesting data. I want to be very clear that the first version of Ultimate Skyrim SE that gets released will be early access. You really should expect bugs or features that are not quite finished, or things that are not necessarily working correctly. And the goal is to be able to find all of that more quickly than we would if it was just, me testing or the team testing in their spare time. Because obviously, Skyrim is already such a large game, but the amount of changes that we bring to the table with 500 mods, it's extensive. And I'm very much looking forward to getting your guys' help for that. As far as timelines go, if I were really, really on top of it, this is what I said earlier, this would probably take maybe 3 months. I think that's a fast estimate, so it may take a smidge longer. I'm hoping it won't. I really am trying my best to get it all done and squared away in a reasonable time frame. And again, this is an estimate. There's at least a couple of these things, like resolving the nav meshes, doing this MCM automation. A couple of these things they require skill sets that I just do not have yet. I've never resolved nav meshes manually in the CK, for example. I'm always careful when it comes to completely new tasks that I've never done before, because I really don't know how long it's going to take. It's difficult to estimate, right? But I think that's a reasonable early estimation. Just really do not take it as gospel, because I would hate for anyone to be disappointed, of course. Have I looked at Campfire Unleashed? I absolutely have. Is that what I'm thinking of? And if so, yes. So this was actually what I was planning to replace Astronaut Crossing, which is kind of what we use in the classic version of Ultimate Skyrim for all the settlement building. If you're not familiar with David J. Cobb, he is the creator of Astronaut Crossing and Cobb Positioner, Cobb's bug fixes, and just a whole host of other crazy stuff. Absolutely love his mods. I do believe last I spoke with him, it was months ago, that he was looking into porting some of his mods over to Special Edition, because for a while he was working on some stuff for Halo Reach. I don't know if that's the case now. I would need to speak to him again. But in lieu of, I would love to use Astronaut Crossing. I would especially love to use Cobb Positioner. In lieu of those mods, this mod and some other positioners are looking very promising. This mod looks promising on its own. This is a strong candidate for maybe even superseding Astronaut Crossing because of how many features have been added into this mod. But I think it's a good characterization to say that it is practically Fallout 4 settlement building in Skyrim. Anyone who's played Fallout 4 knows that the settlement building is pretty extensive. So it's very, very cool to think that, we might have something like this on the table. Shame Bandolier 2. I never even knew there was going to be a Bandolier 2 at all. That is crazy, Monique. Yeah, that is unfortunate, but it's just the way it goes sometimes, I suppose. Last house question. How does Ultimate Skyrim handle all the optional files that let you change the banners in LC Noble House? That is not something I've had to evaluate yet, Thorin, so I really couldn't say. Generally speaking, how does the system work again? If you remind me, I might be able to shed some more light on that. Will you ever add cloaks for Requiem or something that makes the unique cloaks have balanced enchanted effects? That is a good question, Titanium. As of now, There are all the same cloaks that were in classic Ultimate Skyrim, but they are the same way, where they don't have any enchantments because of Requiem balance. It's possible that we could add that in. It's just not something that's tremendously high priority. I mean, frankly, it's very easy to make the cloaks enchantable. Easy enough to the point where someone could just come along. It's a matter of removing the keyword from the cloaks, right? That disallow you from enchanting them. For balance, however, that's obviously a much harder consideration. And it's something that wouldn't be tremendously high up on my priority list. I think that maybe if someone else wanted to tackle that, when they have the released SE kind of basis to work with, it would be better suited for something like that. Watched a lot of Wraithen's playthrough. Thank you for that, by the way. Not all the videos. It has not reached a conclusion, and I would very much like to revisit Wraithen. I spent a lot of time on Wraithen's backstory. I had a lot of fun putting it together. There's still so much more I want to do with that character, so there's a very strong possibility that when I start, streaming gameplay again, it'll be Wraithen who we're playing as, but on SE instead. Macmora, I'm curious if SKSE realistic body sizes is possible. Thank you very much for the kind words, Macmora. If you are referring to realistic body morphs, the mesh edit, then the answer is yes. That is another mod that I would like to revisit and re-implement back into Ultimate Skyrim. The only reason that I removed it before is because the meshes were they suffered from some unfortunate bugs that would appear not only in the existing version of Ultimate Skyrim, I think, but at the very least, I know that the skeleton bugs created problems with some of the knockout overhauls and the what's the word I'm looking for? Not non-violent. My brain's not working. I've been talking too much and I haven't gotten any sleep. For the non-killing people options that I'm trying to add in the future versions, so I ditched it for a little bit. But as I understand it, those bugs have been fixed by other modders. So I would very much like to, revisit what's it called? Realistic body morphs. Do you guys ever just speak so much that you end up choking on your own spit? Because I do that constantly. I'm so sorry for when I do that. That's really good to hear, Monique, about the nav meshes. That's what I assumed, and also Sacroletius is like the nav mesh king. I'm sure that I could rely on him if I encountered any sort of issues. But I just, generally speaking, if I've never revisited, or if I've never tried to do something, rather, I try to give it more time. And also, there's a lot of nav meshes that need some attention. I said this earlier in the stream, that I'm going to try and prioritize the nav meshes so that, the really important ones, like the ones in settlements and cities, are just like definitively working, and then some of the less important ones, if I need to, I can kind of push them off to a later update, but we will see. Immersive armors and immersive weapons are not in the list. That is correct, Fippity Flip. That really, it's, at least in the case of immersive weapons, well, so for both mods, there are some problematic armors. Immersive armors, or problematic items, rather. Immersive armors in particular has some kind of errant edits and some armors that are just kind of... They're cool, but they show their age. This is a mod that was created way back in 2012. It was supported for a while as well, but a lot of the other armor mods, weapon mods that have come out since then generally use better practices or have updated models. Some of the weapons and the armors are pretty antiquated in terms of their appearances, and a lot of them are very unrealistic. And I also have some system changes planned for weapons and armors in general, so I figured it would be much simpler to, if I wanted to re-implement them later, I'll have the framework ready to do it. It's really a question of what it adds to the experience in my mind, because when I first put them in there, it was more of like, yeah, let's just, let's jam all this stuff in here, so there's so much content, but a lot of the content was not necessarily of the quality that I hoped for, and the amount of time that it takes to kind of bring all of those new items in line with our crafting systems and some of the other changes that I need to make behind the scenes, it didn't pass that kind of value added versus time required ratio, if that makes sense. Let's see here. Download LC Noble House, download optional file and add to the load, or it changes the banners. Ah, I understand, Thorin. So non-lethal was the word that I was looking for. Thank you, Pumpkin. I'm so behind on the... Oh, we finally finished the Temple of Avo song. Now we're in Bowerstone, which is, I'm believing it's perfect. Beautiful song. That is a bit trickier. It would take some effort, I think, to integrate that sort of banner swap into the game, actually, like as a you know, a mechanic. I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see there, because it's obviously not really at all ideal to require players to kind of install some additional mod in order to get the banners that they want. So we'll see. Yes, Monique, you got it. Exactly. Hello, Toby. Okay, well, honestly, I hope that was suitable for you guys as stream content. I always worry kind of when I get towards the end of the streams and I start answering questions or just, you know, rambling about one thing or another, that it's not the most engaging content, but hopefully it was engaging for you. I am going to be signing off here pretty quick and grabbing some lunch. I really appreciate all of you coming around, everyone who stuck around after the raids. I really appreciate it. I just, of course, appreciate all of the support on the project, and you guys taking the time out of your days, rather, to, you know, just kind of come here and watch and participate. It really means the world to me. Plot my comment to the "it's released in 3 months" teaser. What is this? Propaganda. I mean, if the implication is that it might not, I mean, that's absolutely true. It's something that I feel like is reasonable, but again, it really does depend on how much I'm able to get done. I was mentioning earlier in the stream that it's definitely, if I'm being honest, it's been tough in coronavirus, just for all the reasons that it's tough for everybody. It can be tough to focus sometimes. I'm really trying to work on that, trying to get, you know, a schedule implemented that gives me space for self-care and exercising, and also allows me time with my wife and time with my friends, time for me, all the time that is required for all of the work, and to make sure that the time I have dedicated for the work is productive time where I'm prioritizing and focusing. That is true, Monique. I don't think anyone would argue that. But, you know, alas, I am but human, doing my very best, and I really hope to get it to you guys sooner rather than later, because that's obviously more advantageous for me too. It just depends on a whole lot of factors, but as always, you know, I fully plan to continue these weekly streams, so you can always check back in at the same time, which is 12 noon Mondays PST, and, you know, I'll have the latest updates for you. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys. Let's see if there's anyone online for us to raid. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come hang out with little old me and speak in chat and to lurk and everything else. It really does mean the world to me that you guys are interested in the project, and I really appreciate you being a part of it. So with that said, oh, it looks like Tayson's online, so why don't we go and raid him? How does that sound? Raid Tayson Savarn. For those of you who don't know, Tayson is another modder, extremely talented guy, extremely kind, is well deserving of all of your views and your attention, etc., etc. So please stick around. You need some help getting bot command set up. I appreciate that, Toby. We mostly have it like done. It's just a matter of I need to sit down and like take the time on it. Yes, Monique, you are everywhere. I have seen that. You are a Skyrim modding raider par excellence. So thank you guys again for being a part of the stream. Hopefully I'll see you next week. I hope you guys all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Please take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.